For more on the refugee crisis and also the relations between EU countries and Turkey on this issue, I'm joined in Brussels by Rosa Balfour, who is a senior fellow on the Europe program at the German Marshall Fund. Meanwhile, in Ankara, we are having Fatma Elmas, who is a researcher at the Center for EU Studies at the International Strategic Research Organization. Welcome to both of you. We understand, Ms. Elmas, at this moment on Monday, according to agreements, that Turkey is going to return some of those economic migrants back to, in fact, their original countries. That's an agreement between Turkey and the European countries. Is Turkey, though, having agreed with it, capable of doing it?
Actually, Turkey has accepted to admit those who are not asylum seekers, who enter illegally to Greece and to European borders. So also this is an international obligation as well for all the countries to readmit people who cross other countries or over your country. So Turkey has already accepted this issue, and Turkey has already said yes to readmit more than 300 migrants from Greece. So it is now the issue to be handled and to be waiting for implementation.
Is that fair for Turkey? I mean, Turkey has already become this corridor between the economic migrants. Many of them, as being mentioned, are really could be seeking asylum in the European countries and the European countries themselves. So is Turkey really fair? Is it really fair for Turkey to shoulder all of these responsibilities? Ms. Elmas?
Actually, it seems difficult because it is not a... Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. It seems difficult for Turkey to take this crisis on its own shoulders, actually. This has to be a mutual partnership. This is the problem, actually. Okay, these summits are themselves actually important because providing chance for effective and mutual dialogue between the parties. Actually, this kind of dialogue should have been long before, right after the outbreak of the Arab uprisings. But although it's a late step for migration cooperation, it could still have a considerable meaning for the future policy response. Because the EU and Turkey are located in the same region, common region, and so cooperation is inevitable, and common challenges make cooperation inevitable, actually. However, the approach or content of the cooperation, the approach of the European Union, current approach, is under question because it's questionable if the cooperation is on the right track. Just control-oriented approach will help to stop people. No, actually, it's doubtful because unilateral approach, just control-oriented or security-driven approach will not help or stop people to flee into Europe because they are running away from the war. And the only criteria actually the EU look for Turkey just to number of decrease of number of arrivals from Turkey to Europe and increase in readmission or return. This cannot be functional in long term.
That's right.
Actually,
that's right.
These are the people who are fleeing from the war.
We understand what you're talking about. These are the people coming from the wars, and they have a right, and Turkey alone is not necessarily going to handle it, and yet this is the only way Turkey believes to have a dialogue further with the European Union countries. Ms. Elmas, has Turkey realized the agreement that Turkey has entered, even though Turkey could also earn some chips, as being mentioned by Ms. Balfour, front of the European Union? The promise you made, it's a big one, because if the European countries, or some of them, decide to further close their borders, or collapse from the negotiation on seeking a solution to these economic migrants, Turkey could be the country that ended up that have to absorb all of these people eventually. Ms. Elmas, when that decision is being made, is there a proper decision-making process in Turkey and Ankara for this?
Actually, Turkey cannot just stop itself the flow, or the other things, or just returning all the migrants to Turkey will not help, actually, will not be functional, as I said before. And also just the economic aid, $3 billion euros, which will will be given to Turkey, cannot solve anything on its own, because Turkey has already spent lots of money, like $8 billion to tackling the refugee crisis, and this is important, as Balfour said, to handle the issue in a multilateral and comprehensive way. Actually, the right balance between human security and state security is important here. So this needs to be a comprehensive package. Just putting all the burden on the shoulders of Turkey will not be functional. Turkey, of course, will do everything as much as it can. It did before, actually. During the Iraqi war, Turkey hosted lots of refugees and migrants in Turkey, and after 1898, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, there were lots of people fleeing to Turkey from the Balkans. So Turkey helped again these people, but this is not the way it should be, actually. So Turkey needs help, but the real mutual interest has to be on the table. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we understand. We understand the stance already.
Now is on the right track
or
not?
Yes, we understand the stance already of Turkey's position. But the question is, can we turn a crisis into opportunity? Because there's a Chinese phrase which put the two words together, and we have a philosophy of try to link these two together. I wonder whether the Europeans and Turkish will be able to do that. Ms. Elmas, your response, you heard very clearly your German counterpart, Ms. Surford, talking about Turkey promising a lot without doing much at all. Your brief response, please.
Actually, Turkey's capacity is limited now, because we, as you said before, we host 2.6 million refugees here, and there is integration problems as well, healthcare system. What about the job, their work? So there are lots of problems here. So this is why I said the EU shouldn't just say Turkey just to control borders. To help, it has to help Turkey to integrate the migrants inside, and also resettlement is important. This crisis needs concrete steps.
But Ms. Elmas, the thing is that Turkey has promised already. Yes, Turkey has a lot of difficulties. It is not realistic to let Turkey do all of these things. And yet, in this agreement, Turkey promised. So then now falls into the responsibility of Turkey. Are you making empty promises in exchange for real benefits? So let me have Ms. Elmas to respond to that very briefly, one sentence or two. Let me come back to you later, to Mr. Surfer. Ms. Elmas, very briefly.
Yeah, because there are lots of political motives behind this cooperation. The government is stuck with the democratization process and the other problems. So this is why the government actually promises a lot, because it needs help, EU's help and EU's support. So this turns into a difficult bargain. So this is why we said that the EU not just put emphasis on the border control or the refugee crisis.
Okay.
It needs to be again, I mean, the relation between Turkey and EU needs to be again go back their track, and like the democratization and transformation and the other things. I mean, the integration process is important itself.